Today is Sunday, September 16th, 2018. Get ready for the Emerging Sea broadcast system, the Forbidden History series. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Time to call your friends. Special thanks to YouTube.com for hosting the Forbidden History series. We now interrupt your normally scheduled programming to bring you this very important deprogramming program. Please note that the following views, any opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society, and nothing here is ever to be construed as medical, hate, nor legal advice. And thank you for that audio check, Lynn. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time, 7 days a week, right here on the realpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way, 7 days a week, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time on the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Stand by for the broadcast. You did tell your friends? Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio, in the heart of Amish country, and Free America Radio Network, in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's the Forbidden History series. The great lies of history, the words that killed, the piracy of words, the duality revealed in patterns, pictures, and nature, the ABCs of light, and we're going to be doing the alphabet real soon here, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Lynn, for that heads up. And movie reviews, book reviews, it's a whole lot more. We are the deprogramming program, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, you knew that, right? That's why you're here. It's the battle for the mind. The truth is light, but ignorance is darkness, and these are the two great antagonists, the one against the other. And good morning, Rainbow Phoenix. Glad you tuned in. And for all the things that great civilizations can create, there is only one thing they cannot create, and that is light, ladies and gentlemen. They are of the darkness. But we breathe and we follow the great light above. And once we can begin to comprehend the true nature of things as they really are, then we can begin to comprehend that there is nothing really more to complain about. We can give thanks for all things, even our persecution, even our struggle, ladies and gentlemen. And Ninja Cat is in a struggle today, dealing with extreme frequency intrusion, not knowing where it's from specifically, but so your prayers are asked to go out for Ninja. She should be on in a little bit. She called and we prayed together, created light for the one who is in control, and these things happen to us at different times. I've experienced it, but you don't know what you don't know until you listen in, ladies and gentlemen. And the trail began on June 21st, 2018. Okay, the summer solstice actually, and so go back and start at the beginning, and you'll be keyed up into a lot of the things we're talking about. It's been a 4-month trail now. And the best way to identify the truth is to identify the great lies of history. In those first 2 weeks, I unloaded the entire apple cart of what people aren't talking about, but what we want you to know right here. And I'm your host, Desert Owl. Welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. And the bigger the lie, the more the people just are inclined to suck it up, Yes, oh, give me some more of that. That was pretty good, and they just keep on sucking it up, and that's what we used to do when we used to smoke the weed, But the weed, even though it felt pretty good, it ain't gonna get you there either. It's not gonna get you to eternity. It's a very wonderful medicine that Heavenly Father put on the earth, but it's not the answer to life. The medicinal values are great. The making of clothing is great. Paper, it could save our planet just without having to cut trees, with that product. But nonetheless, so that's the great love that shined down on the planet, and for those who needed it, even made them feel good. But it's not the answer. I don't do that anymore, and that was in my younger days. So and older too. After my divorce, I needed some of that too. But then, but I knew the truth, and Rainbow, way to go. I love truth too. And so the truth is that we don't need anything. We don't need anyone if we do know the truth, if we know who is really running the show. Okay. And, but if you don't know where you're going, then any road will get you there. And that includes jumping off a cliff. That's the quickest way to the bottom. Just jump off the cliff and you'll get down there real quick, because that's where you'd be going if you're not focused, if you're not centered, if you're not meditating on the nature of this universe and of what life is all about. Some people think they got it figured out, and they've never even read a book. Never even read a book and figured it out. And then some people think, even when they know that the great spirit of life, Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, wrote some books that can get us on the trail, and of the light, and yet they won't even read his books, because he wrote many books, not just a book, but a collection, a library of his thoughts put down on paper for our benefit, and people will not read the book. So, there's little hope for anybody that, that's got that position, and they think they're going to go for the lottery. They're going for the luck. Yeah, well, maybe I'll get in, maybe I won't. No, it ain't happening that way. You ain't going in, You ain't going in. In the beginning is the Word, and the Word is the Shavor. Shavor, that's the royal center. That is the Savior. That is the Savior word. Shavor is the original. It said logo in the Greek, word, but word is a code for war in the English. The English, the hooker, the hook. They got us on the English hook. But the original is what is the logo? What is that word then? And it is Shavor, the royal center, because the communicating symbol, the communicating device is the center of it all. Without communication, nothing can happen. Nothing. Zip. Can't cook a meal with somebody. You can't build a house with anybody. Everybody be doing their own little thing because they can't talk to nobody. That's kind of like the way it is today anyway, isn't it? With everybody got their little iPhone, they're looking down. They don't talk anymore. Yeah, they got their own little world, own little electronic world, and they didn't make it. They didn't make it, and it's certainly not coming from Yahweh, not coming from the one who made the universe, coming from the dark Bhagwan Gandhi Rashis, wanting to rule the world, that evil empire, Oh, I wonder why they called the Empire State Building the Empire State Building. You ever think about that? Like, okay, Empire, Roman Empire, Vaticana? Yeah, So lots of things to consider, ladies and gentlemen. And it takes 1,000,000 lies to cover the first lie. And that's because they don't want us to know that first lie, okay, about who's really running the world and how they did it. That's the one everybody's trying to figure out, isn't it? Who built all the great pyramid civilizations? Where, and how do they have this super knowledge? Where does super knowledge come from? Well, it came from the Naga. And that was Adam, because he was with Yeshua while he made all things on earth, and Adam named all things. And we're going to talk about his name a little bit again. I'm going to do a review of yesterday dealing with this aspect of Esha, because this is such a revelation, such a powerful revelation. Yeah, the empire strikes back and bites, and it hurts. Then because they are the empire, right? You know who they made us in the movie Star Trek? We are the Klingons, right? At least I was when I was a political activist and a patriot. We're clinging on, and they wanted to get rid of those Klingons because, the Klingons are just, not looking too good these days, and so yeah, let's get rid of the Klingons because we're going into the new age, babe. That's what they say, the new age. But there's nothing new under the sun. It's the old age that they want to resurface. The sacrifice of men, women, and children on the field battles of war on a sacred altar of of Moloch, or all the other names that he goes by. So yeah, it's an amazing world, ladies and gentlemen. Did I introduce myself? And just in case I didn't, I am Desert Owl, a bird who sees in the night, and I've seen too much, and I know too much, and it's a painful deal when you know too much. And a special happy birthday out there to Ya Love, who's going into eternity. She has turned another chapter today, and so grateful for her. I don't see her on the board, so she may be with friends or something. And but if she does, she said if she does come on, we'll know it, and then she'll be happy to read for us. Okay, so I may. Well, I've got plenty of supplements here. I got to tell you, I don't even know how I'm going to get through this mountain, and I don't know what I want to do because I like doing a special read on Sunday. Is I want to do a read of the Didache. And I'm thinking, if I'm going to get this thing knocked out, maybe I should get it near the top of the pile here. Okay, so what I want to do, all right, first of all, I'm going to be doing a program tonight. I'll be doing a Sunday night special to accommodate people who only can listen in the evening, because all the time differences we have around the world. So tonight I'll be doing a presentation, and I'll be defining the words hell, Sheol, and Hades and Plutarch. All of these are the same word, just different versions of it. So I'm going to do a program tonight, not a 3 hour, but probably 90-minute or 2 hours at the most. But I'm going to cover more ground Sunday night, and then let me cover a few things, and then I'm going to do this the book called the Didache. It's a short one, but it means the knowledge of the two ways, and so this will be my special read, and then I'll see how much I can knock out of the rest of the work I got in front of me. I've got a pile of books. I love hitting books. I've been hitting books all my life, and they've been hitting back. You hit the books, they hit you back, and you actually can learn something, and you can see some things that maybe nobody else is able to get the picture of. It's amazing world we have. Okay, so real quick, I want to share an Ode of Solomon. The Odes of Solomon are in the second volume of the Old Testament pseudepigrapha. Pseudepigrapha. Say that 3 times fast. Wonder where to get these words from. But it means pseudo. It means supposedly penned by certain authors. And I can tell you that most all the books in here are not supposedly written, but they are written. Other books of Ezra, other books of Job, other books of Enoch, and this is called the Odes of Solomon. And it's interesting because it's in the Old Testament. Pseudepigrapha, 2 volumes, and it doesn't belong there because it's actually New Testament. Just because it's called Solomon, it's like somebody couldn't think straight. This is written by somebody with the spirit of Yahweh, okay, and Yeshua. That's what it is. These are Christian odes, not from the Old Covenant. And let me just turn on a little more light, and I'll give you a sample. I hope everybody's doing all right out there. I know Ninja is toughing it out right now and needs everybody's prayers. And good morning, Mew Mew. Good to have you. And so we're on Ode 6. As the wind moves through the harp and the strings spark, so the sphire, that's spirit, the sphire of the Naga healer and pure breather of light sparks through my members, and I spark through his travain love. For the eye, he destroys whatever is foreign, and everything is of Yahweh, who is the great Elohim. For this is how it has been from the beginning, and how it will be unto the end. so that nothing will be contrary, and nothing can rise up against him. The great Elohim and healer and pure breather of light has multiplied his knowledge, multiplied it. That's the golden age of light that he brought in. And the eye, he is zealous that those things should be known through his favor for all that has been given to us, or offered to us. Not all have taken it. And in his rising up in the creation, the eye he gave us on account of his royal title, our spirits rising up in the creation through his only true anointed pure great breath of light on the wind and wings of fire throughout all time, the pure breath, the Holy Spirit. For there went forth a stream, a river of light from out of the atom. Out of the atom came a river of light. And it became a great river and very wide. Indeed, it carried everything away. And it rolled on down and brought everything to this temple. And the restraints of blood of the earth were not able to restrain it, nor even the craft of those who habitually restrain the waters of truth. For it spreads out over the face of the entire earth, and it fills everything. Then all the thirsty upon the earth drink, and thirst is relieved and satisfied. For from the mother star in the eye of the return, the drink is given. Barucheth, born of the endowment and the enlightenment with a mind's eye for seeing in the night, are the little stars, the ministers, the little stars that drink, who have been entrusted with his waters of truth. They have pleased the parched lips and have restored his paralyzed will, even lives who were about to expire. They have been seized from death, and members which had fallen, they have restored and set up. They gave power for their coming and great light for their eyes, because everyone recognized them as Yahweh's, who is the Naga healer and pure breather of light, and live by the living waters of truth in eternal A. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And I like reading this on Sundays, okay? And I'll be doing this each week, okay, on Sunday. I'm just trying to make Sunday a little more special for people who don't want to go to the Babylonian system and need an alternative, and I do too. Just a minute. And now we're in the Nag Hammadi. And don't forget, if you want to call in, if you're a sky watcher, you've seen something, or you have a great live history or a word that you want to mention, then, you know, or you're trying to figure out, by all means, feel free to call in, all right? And call the number 608-566-7295. That's 608-566-7295. Or call in on Skype. That's Free America Radio, all one word, Free America Radio. Right? And so we're in the Star Message of Toma, the Gospel of Thomas, in number 19. And Yeshua breathed, Barucheth, endowed, born of the endowment and the enlightenment with a mind's eye for seeing in the night, is the one who came into being before coming into being. If you become my truth seeker and listen to my breathings, these stones will serve you. Probably the implication is that these precious stones, and the precious stones, because he was speaking probably in front of his 12. So these precious stones will serve you. It's very possible, or it can be literal, that the earth, that the stones themselves would serve you. Earth will come to your service, come to your aid. The great Elohim and the Elohim through the great Elohim. If you become my for there are 5 trees in Paradisia for you, and they do not change summer or winter, and their leaves do not fall. Whoever knows them will not taste death. So it sounds like an evergreen type of a tree. But whoever knows them will not taste death. So it's a mystery. It's one that even I cannot elaborate on the 5 trees. That's a mystery to me right now. Okay, and so now we're in the star message of truth, or the gospel of truth, and we are post-it note here. The Father restores fullness. Thank you, Father. This is the Shavor, the word of the star message about the discovery of fullness for those who await soul novation, salvation, coming from above. Their hope for which they are waiting is in waiting, and this is their image, the light, in which there is no shadow. At this time, the fullness is about to come. Deficiency of matter is not from the infinity of the Father, who came to give time to deficiency. In fact, it is not right to say that the incorruptible would actually come in this manner. The Father's depth is profound, and the thought of error is not with him. It is something that has fallen and is in the fall, and something that can readily be set upright through the discovery of the one who has come to what he would restore. This rebirth, this restoration is called the rebirth, repentance. But repentance means to rebreathe with the breath of a star. Just like the baby, when it comes out of its mother, has to breathe. Good to have you, Ninja. The reason that the incorruptible breathed out and followed after the one who closed his eyes was so that the sinner the blind might find rest. Forgiveness is what remains for the light in deficiency. The Shavor of fullness, the word of fullness. For a doctor rushes to where there is sickness, since that is the doctor's wish. The individual in need does not hide it, because the doctor has what the patient needs. The fullness, which has no deficiency but fills up deficiency, is provided to fill the individual's need, so that the individual may receive the light of the sun and favor for all. That is the light of the sun symbolically is the favor for all, because the light shines for everyone, even when they don't deserve it. While deficient, the individual has no grace, has no favor for all, no light of the sun. that is complete. And because of this, a diminishing took place where there was no favor for all, sort of like annihilation. When the diminished part was restored, the individual in need was revealed as fullness. This is what it means to discover the light of truth that has shone towards an individual. This is unchangeable. Because of the coming of the Mashiach, it was breathed openly, seek, and the trouble will be restored. The troubled will be restored, and the eye will anoint them with ointment. The ointment is the mercy, and that is also the message. And you can see in mercy the word Mercury, and that's the messenger. That is the mercy, to receive the message. The anointment is the mercy, the message of the Father, who will have mercy on them. And those anointed are the perfect. For filled jars are usually sealed with wax, but when the seal of a jar is broken, it may leak. And the cause of its defect is the lack of a seal. That's in reference, of course, to the Spirit, to be sealed. For then a breath of wind and the power that it has can make it evaporate. But on the jar that is without defect, the seal is not broken, nor does it leak, and the perfect Father fills again what it lacks. And next in here will be, the Father knows his plants in paradise. And that's the Nag Hammadi, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the thumbs up, Ninja. If you want to call in, you're certainly welcome to. I don't know how you're doing. I know you're toughing it out right now. There's a lull, comes in waves. Well, great. I'm glad to hear that. All right. So I'll do the symbolism real quick before I get into the Didache. I like to go in this order here. This first definition is a little longer than normal, but it's too important not to read it. It's about the sirens. The police, when the police pull you over, they use their sirens, right? And we're in the A Dictionary of Symbols by Cirlot, C-I-R-L-O-T, in the Philosophical Library. Originally done in Spanish. Siren. The picture here looks like a mermaid, but it's got a split tail, which represents two legs. At the same time, it represents one fin. And she's got a crown on her head. I think it's seaweed. Okay. A siren, a symbolic figure which usually takes one of two main forms. As a bird woman or as a fish woman. The sirens in Greek mythology were supposed to be daughters of the river Achelos by the nymph Calliope. I've got to do something here. Hang on a second. All right. And Croesus turned them into birds. They inhabited mountainous places. Legend attributed to them a song of such sweetness they could entice the wayfarer only to devour him. Okay, and so there's the how this shows how they named what they put on the police car. They called it a siren, And of course, what happens when you are pulled over, the traveler, when the traveler is pulled over, well, he gets devoured, right? He's got to pay the bank. The judge sits on the bench, and that's the bank, Latin for bank. And so he gets devoured, pulled over by the sirens. Laterally, the myth arose of sirens with fishtails whose haunts were rocky islands and cliffs, and who behaved in the same manner as did their sisters, inhabiting the element of air. The siren myth is one of the most indestructible of all myths. Among some marine peoples, it has persisted even into the present day. Material concerning these sirens is to be found in Aristotle, Pliny, Ovid, Hyginus, the Physiologus, 2nd century AD, and medieval bestiaries. Dating from before the 10th century are the two-tailed sirens on the tympanon of the chapel of St. Michael de Gilead at Le Puy, and the siren birds at St. Benoit sur Loire. These and the French, I pretty much failed French. These viper fairies, as exemplified by Melusina, in particular, are complex figures, and we are not satisfied that a merely literal interpretation is the right one. They may well be representations of the inferior forces in woman, or of woman as the inferior, as in the case of Lamaeus, or they could also be symbolic of the corrupt imagination enticed towards base ends or toward the primitive strata of life, or of the torment of desire leading to self-destruction, for their abnormal bodies cannot satisfy the passions that are aroused by their enchanting music and by their beauty of face and bosom. It seems that they are largely symbols of the temptations scattered along the path of life, or of symbolic navigation, impeding the evolution of the spirit by bewitchment, beguiling it into remaining on the magic island. That's the earth, the magic island. Or in other words, causing its premature death. The twin-tailed siren, a fine example of which may be on a capital in the asp of San Cugat Monastery, can be explained psychologically as a simple amalgamation, the two legs of woman applied to the single tail of the fish, giving the twin tail of the woman fish. But it may also be interpreted symbolically by reference to the profound significance of Gemini. It seems to us that the twin tail is an infernal replica of the classical attitude of adoration in which both arms are raised. An attitude characteristic, for example, of the Cretan statuettes of priestesses, given that the sea is the lower abyss and an image of the unconscious. Then the twin fishtail pertaining to the sea must express a duality or conflict within the watery deeps. Worth maintains that the siren is quite simply a symbol of woman, and that that woman is a true incarnation of the sun. Incarnation of the spirit of the earth. I was reading a side note there. Of the spirit of the earth, as opposed to the man, who is the son of the sun. S-O-N of the S-U-N. He expresses his concept of transmigration as follows. Life entices the souls of those deprived of it. Why does the other world not retain one and for all those spiritual entities that aspire towards reincarnation. The daughters of men ensnare the sons of the sun, or the seed of the sun, with their beauty, dragging them irresistibly down. The spell thus cast is attributed to the siren whose song so captivates the listener that he falls into the ocean of the lower waters and of nascent forms, teeming with multitudinous of life. The temptress owes her power to the changing forms governed by the moon. There you go, the moon, the occult, the dark side. The temptress owes her powers to the changing forms governed by the moon. There's your demoon. The crescent, of which shines upon her forehead. Okay. And then we've got our dictionary of all scriptures and myths. And we're in the year of 12 months. A symbol of the cycle of manifestation which compromises the 12 stages through which growth is accomplished. The visible form of time is the year, consisting of 12 months made up of nemeshas, that's twinklings, and other measures, that's matri bra, Upanishad. Okay, for all the thunderbolts is the year. Let me try this again. For the thunderbolt is the year. The day is Agni, the night Soma, and what is between the two, that is Vishnu. Thus he makes the revolving year. By that year, as a thunderbolt, the god clove is stronghold. The gods clove the strongholds and conquered these worlds. Satabra. The spiritual energy manifesting on the higher mental plane is the life cycle itself. One period in the cycle is for the outgoing life, Agni, and another for the indrawing night, when the lower self, Soma moon, is active. The period between is purely spiritual, Vishnu. Thus, the Supreme establishes the cycle and is life waves. By that cycle, as a means for the liberation of divine energy, the higher qualities, quote, gods, manifest their their nature by destroying the strongholds of ignorance and darkness, and overcoming the desires for the illusions of the lower planes. See Abraxas, Eons, 12, Agni, Alpha, day, and night, God's man, Venutra, night, Primor, Pragpati, Paralalya, Ra, seasons, 5, Soma, moon, strides, thunderbolt, time, Vishnu, worlds, zodiac. Years of patriarchal life, symbolic of the limited continuance of specific mental states or stages of development of the soul, the shul. Elohim does not measure by time, but by the end to be accomplished in any given instance. R.J. Campbell, Sermon of God's Use of Time. Okay. This is an interesting one. I think I want to continue here. One short one, because it's it sounds like Yuda, and I'm not sure here. Yedud, Y-E-D-U-D, a symbol of spiritual perfection sustained by the soul by means of its progress through the states of the lower nature. Yeah, it is the same word as Yud. Interesting, and this probably comes from the, well, I'm not sure where it comes from, but this is interesting. Hang on a minute. I see something. Y-U-D-A-H. Okay, so, and in it, the neshama, soul, is perfected, yedud. Then it's got the sacred name here, YHVH. This is Meir from the Kabbalah. Okay, so this is the Kabbalah's again the evolved Judaism after Jerusalem was destroyed, and yeah, just like the Vatican on the walls, they're talking about a true story of creation, but they're not embracing it in truth because it's about the divine love, and these people are psychopaths. But so nonetheless, that's why reading these things is interesting, because we get better ideas. And good morning, Martha. Glad to have you. We have to know how other people think. That's part of the psychology of of looking at these other cultures. Remember, in order to discover the truth, we also have to discover the lies. And so then we have to be scholars. We have to be able to know that we can know, and find, and they're all speaking truth. The occult speak truth, but they're not a part of the truth. They speak truth with the forked tongue, just like that siren with the forked tail. And so therefore, but yet we can gather seeds of truth through these traditions at times, because they have captured the original thought, the original tradition. And so it's I've been reviewing all of these throughout my life, and wanting to, in other words, in order to be able to comment on them, I would have to obviously read some of their stuff. I haven't read all of the the Kabbalah. I've read parts of it, and also the same with the Book of Mormon, or the book of the Quran. All of these things, because if I'm going to talk about it, I have to know what it says. I have the original copy of the Book of Mormon from the 1800s. Actually, I've not read that one. I read half of the modern one, but I just thought it would be interesting to compare them. But so anyway, continuing here, when the consciousness has risen to Atma Buddhic levels, then humanity is perfected. And most especially when it comes to reading the code, reading the code is the thing I'm looking for. And very often when they're spelling words differently, I'm also getting tip-offs, because they know the original thought, they know the truth, the original words and all that. So it's a given that I would have to read this stuff in order to get the picture. It's not my preference, to read these other works. It was necessary in order to but yet when I read Greek mythology, geez, I found out Greek mythology was actually telling the story about life, the story about Adam and Eve, the story about the fallen watchers. Okay, it was all there because it was a true story of their heritage. Their heritage is our heritage. So it's just another version of the other version. Okay? So we can't leave any stone unturned. We can't be narrow-minded and say we don't need to see, where other people are coming from. Certainly we do. The chief symbolism is drawn from the sacred name. From the sacred name being Yud, He, Va, He. And represented here is Jehovah, because that's the Greek, that's not the Hebrew. Yud is the father, He is the mother, Va, the begotten son. A.E. Waite, Secret Doctrine. Well, that's interesting. That's the first time I've heard that analysis, but I had already seen that. In other words, the YH, the YH is the male, and the VH is the female. And Yud, but because I'm noticing something here. Yeah, YHV. You see, they didn't get the second H, so it's because that's the way it was on those documents that were found. These slates that were found here in up in Michigan, Wisconsin, and here in Ohio, that had all the Hebrew writings on it. They put the sacred name at the top, and they only spelled it YHV. They didn't add the additional H after it. And I was wondering, were they holding back and just leaving out one letter, or was that the original form, YHV? So because I thought that possibly could be true. So anyway, interesting stuff. See also Jehovah, Neshama, Tetragrammaton, Triad, and Trinity. Okay. And that's out of the Dictionary on All Scriptures and Myths. Okay. So the Didache, I'm convinced it was actually the book of, or the work of Barnabas, mispronounced as Barnabas, that it is Barnabas, because in the back of the Gospel of Barnabas is the primary element of this. It's right there. So oh yeah, come on, call in Ninja if you want, please. Come on. I'm doing something on the window here. Okay, Ninja's calling in, so I'm just going to go to a song till she gets here. I'm not going to start until we talk to Ninja. Okay, so hang on. And hope everybody's doing okay out there. And Fake Sun Guy Watcher in UK, welcome to the broadcast. I think that's the first time seeing you here. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And we have standing by Ninja Cat out there in Australia. And Ninja, how are things going? Please speak up as best you can.
Hello. I'm trying to figure out what's going on at the moment. As all of you know, I'm a targeted individual, and the attacks have been getting worse and worse.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're targeted individual, and the attacks are getting worse and worse. Try to speak up because you're low for some reason today. I got my volume all the way up. Okay.
Okay, it's probably just me.
Okay.
Yeah, but normally they don't last this long. And a few minutes after it started tonight, Lynn told me about an earthquake that had happened in Perth today. And I'm really starting to think that it's got something to do with the frequency connected with that earthquake, because the earthquake is in a strange, like happened in a strange area. Like they've had a few before, but it's not an area for earthquakes, and this was a big one. And the attack is it's very similar, but it's different. It goes away and comes back. It goes away and comes back. It's back right now. So I'm surprised I'm able to speak, but I couldn't. I had to call. It's kind of helping me deal with it right now. Yeah, it's just for anyone out there who's sensitive to frequencies, who's targeted or anything like that. I had to call also so that people are aware of what's going on. Maybe it's not always an attack. Maybe it's the frequencies we're using for all this weather control and manipulating with the earthquakes. Because it's different, and I don't know when it's going to stop. It's been going on for the last an hour and a half, if not more.
Yeah.
Praying seems to make the breaks in between last longer, but it keeps coming back. Yeah, so I don't know what to do. Yeah, so I've gone into questioning mode, and yeah, I'm looking along the lines of frequencies from all this, from them messing with nature. Yeah.
Well, you're hanging in there. Has it subsided at all? I think you had a little relief when we were talking on the phone and praying, right?
Sorry?
You
Sorry, the evening is really bad.
Yeah.
Sorry?
No, I was asking, have you gotten any relief?
Yes.
Okay.
But it keeps, yeah, the relief is longer than when it hits. It's kind of starting to ease up again now, and no, it's not. It's really weird. Like, I felt really clear just then, and like I called because you saw I wasn't being very chatty in the chat.
Yeah.
I called because I couldn't even just sit and listen anymore. Like, I couldn't focus on the chat. I couldn't focus on the words. So I called so that I could focus on something. Now I'm focusing on talking, and that's good, even though I'm going through
well, I'm just trying to think of I don't know if aluminum foil works very well, but I know it seems to me copper has a profound effect. You know, it's like you may have to figure out how to make a copper helmet or something if this keep happening. There's a way. Oh, and another way, to be grounded, I think could be very relevant. Like they talk about how some people ground their bed, and they put a grounding cable right into the ground, and that helps them as well. So consider, walking barefoot right now, and I know maybe it's still a little cold.
It's -3 degrees, right?
Oh, it's pretty too cold. Okay. Sorry to hear that.
Well, I might have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then keep your shoes on and put an iron pole in the ground and hold the pole. You know, I'm
Yeah.
I'm being a little facetious,
Okay.
but you know what I mean. That you have to consider that being connected to the ground may be a way to dispel it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. It's just it's so persistent. It's like I've never had
yeah.
this
Well, to
before.
me, it doesn't sound like the earthquake is doing this. It's got to be some other frequencies. Are they implementing also the you know, the five, what they call the 5G down there? Are you getting the same thing installed down there?
No, they don't. All I heard is they're doing the trials in Queensland. We have the National Broadband Network, which is underground, fibre optic cables. All of that has been getting installed over the last few years.
Yeah. Well,
very glitchy, but it's getting switched on section by section.
yeah. Okay. Well, Ninja, what you need to do is you need to research ways to deflect frequency. This needs to be, you know, what you pursue. I don't know if tinfoil, making a tinfoil hat works. You know, you can have a cap and put foil in it inside the cap, and maybe that would help. You know, but I don't know that for sure. So I know copper is one of the best insulators. If you put copper on all your walls, you literally would have a shield from those frequencies. But I don't know, you know, I don't know the answer. I'm sorry, but you need to investigate, you know, research. Okay.
Yeah.
And keep praying, keep
I
asking
need
the
to
Father
research it.
for help. You will get remedy. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I am going to do is, after the program, I'm going to record. I'm just going to hit record like I did last time, because I can hear the ringing changing.
Yeah.
Like it's going up and down, like everything else is intense, and the ringing's just going up and down in different levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to hit record after the program and see what I get.
Yeah, and just wanted you.
Yeah.
Okay. The fake sun guy out of the UK. He's
My fake sun.
he says 5G is almost on every street corner there in the UK, and towers are popping up everywhere. And he also says lead is also a good protector, but the only problem with lead is you can't put it on your head, because they used to do that with the hat, those tall hats that they used to wear, and that's where they got the term the Mad Hatter, because lead lining in the hat is not good for the brain, so you can't put it in a hat. But if you lined your walls with it or something, yeah, that's why that is why they took lead out of paint. They used to have lead in the paint, and they then said they had to, you know, get rid of lead-based paint, and that it was, you know, because children were eating the paint. But that's not the case. They found out that their special technology couldn't see through walls when paint had lead in it. That was what was going on.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
You made me think of something, and now I've forgotten. What was it? Magnets. Would magnets make it better or worse, do you think?
Magnets could actually work. You know, North Pole energy is good magnet therapy. I used to have a big magnet I could put on my head, but I gave it away. But yeah, so North Pole energy on magnets, you can research that. And if you have a magnet, you just need to figure out what side is North Pole. And I don't know how you do that, actually. You know.
Oh, no, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd just Google it, figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a tiny North Pole magnet here somewhere, and I can't find it. But it, you know, you can put it on your temple. If you got a headache, you put it on your head, and sometimes it works. You know, I haven't proven it out that much, but I give credit to it.
I have fridge magnets.
Yeah, you just testing the magnet, put it near your head, your forehead, and flip it over and see if there's any result at all. Just test it to see if anything happens. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't hurt.
Yeah. One
Yeah,
side
because
don't work, flip
it's
it
all in my
over. If
head.
it works, then you got something going, you know?
Yeah,
All right.
it's all in my head right now, except for yeah, it was really weird before. It's not so much now. Like the feeling weak and yeah, just feeling weak and wobbly.
Okay.
That seems to have gone. It's just all in the head. Yeah. Okay, we have a lull. Ninja's back. Hi guys.
What was that?
I'm back.
You back?
Yeah,
What do you mean you're back? You're feeling better?
a little bit.
Wonderful.
Still massive ear ringing, but it just came clear. Like that's what it's been doing. Like it's crystal clear.
Yeah.
And then it'll just hit me again.
Right.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, eating good food is going to give you strength of body. If you can exercise, that'll give you strength of body and strength of mind. You need to be strong, you know, in the face of all this. Okay. So anything you do to be strong is going to help you in this arena. We're weak, we feel defeated. When we're strong, we can prevail. Right.
Yes.
Just like climbing a mountain.
Yes, we can.
All right.
Yeah.
So stay on your knees. All right. Yeshua wants to save you, and you're being tested, and so give thanks for you being tested, and know that you will be relieved. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Keep me posted. If you need more prayer, call me after the program, and we can pray again. All right.
Okay, I will. It's good for now. You'll probably see the fluctuations in the chat. When I stop talking.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for letting me call in about this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ninja, anytime.
It's important.
Be well, sweetheart.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll let you get on with the program now.
Okay. You are the program right
Okay.
now. What are you talking about? We'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right.
See ya.
Bye-bye. All right. That's Ninja Down Under. And Sandra from Down Under is supposed to be calling. She was trying to call yesterday, I think, and she couldn't quite figure out my number correctly. And so, but she's got a report she's been wanting to make, so we'll find out. I'm not sure how close she is to Ninja down there, but anyway, we're on the next phase of our program, ladies and gentlemen, and we are in the Didache. And the Didache means the knowledge of the two ways. So it's an ancient Christian manuscript, also known as the teaching of the 12 apostles. But Didache does mean the knowledge of the two ways, and that's interesting because even Charles Weisman didn't get that in here when he produced this particular version of it. And I'll lead into it. The Didache, or the knowledge of the two ways, or the teaching of the 12 apostles, has been one of the most important patristic finds. Let me just move that microphone back a little bit. One of the most important patristic finds, adding to the scanty remains of the apostolic period. The manuscript dated to 1056. Okay, not that it originated there, but that's the old how old that particular manuscript was. 1056 was discovered together with other valuable early writings by Philotheos Berenius in the Library of the Holy Sepulchre at Constantinople in 1873. The genuineness of the document can hardly be doubted. It is cited by Clement of Alexandria in his first Stroma, by Eusebius, who speaks of it in his History Ecclesiastes 325, and by Anathenius in his 39th Festal Epistle. Though mentioned in the apocryphal books of the New Testament, the Didache had not, since the time of Nicephorus in the mid-9th century, been known or quoted. All chronological evidence indicates that the Didache was compiled at a date perhaps as early as 70 AD, while most critics place it about 80 to 90 AD. Yeah, I think there's a 10 years difference. Give me a break. Actually, I think it goes before that because it's the handbook Okay, it's a short version handbook for people, and so I think it's closer to the time of the royal messengers, like maybe 40 or as early as 40 or 50 AD, and maybe even earlier, right after the resurrection, actually, when Yeshua came back. Okay, they needed a handbook. So what would they have done but to create something short? That's what we have here. And the most critics, okay, so it thus, I love those critics, by the way. It thus would be as old or older than the book of Revelation and the letters of the Apostle John. The term didache in the Greek means, and he got it wrong again, instruction. It doesn't. It means the knowledge of the way. What part of ditto don't we get? The two ways, knowledge of the two ways. Ditto, K, key for knowledge. The chi, keys. Put a key in the door, you open it. The didache, or doctrine which has been taught. It thus convey. I can't get over that. In the literal sense, nobody gets it. It thus conveys Christ's last directive in Matthew 28:18 through 20. The didache purports to be an instruction based on sayings of our healer and pure breather of light, and passed on by the 12 apostles to potential converts to Christianity. Thus, the didache is not a manual for the use of bishops and deacons, but is addressed to the people. There you go. In an effort to obtain an accurate account of the didache, this composition was compiled from 3 different translations. Charles A. Weissman. And I used to interview Charles. He wrote a lot of books on law up there in Minnesota. He's got Weissman Publications. Okay, Wiseman. I pronounce it Wiseman, but I think it's Weissman. And let me see here. Yeah, Charles Weissman. You can do a search for his publications, for his catalog. Charles, Weisman. Very smart guy. Weisman. Weissman Publications, Apple Valley, Minnesota. This was done in 1993. So let me go ahead and read the didache, the knowledge of the two ways. And the way they always started the ancient books, and good morning, 10,000 Lakes. Good to have you. So the way that they always started a book was by the first word of the book. And so literally the word didache is the first word, and then here it is, right? Right out the gate, chapter 1. There are two ways. You see, they didn't even get that. There are two ways of life and of death, the knowledge of the two ways. And there is a great difference between the two ways. Now, the way of life is this. First, you will love the great Elohim who made you. Secondly, your neighbor as yourself. And all things that you do not wish to be done to yourself, do not do to another. The lesson of these shavors, these words, is as follows. Baruch, Baruch, endow and enlighten with a mind's eye for seeing in the night, or bless those that curse you, and pray for your enemies. I think I'll just use the words in here and not transliterate. Fast for those who persecute you. For what thanks do you deserve when you love those who love you? Do not the heathen do as much? For your part, love them that hate you, and you will not have an enemy. Abstain from the fleshly and worldly lust. If anyone gives you a blow on the right cheek, turn to him the other as well, and you will be perfect. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him. Go 2 miles with him. If anyone takes your cloak away, give him your coat as well. If anyone takes from you what is yours, ask for it not back again, for neither are you able to do so. Give to anyone that asks of you, and ask not back. For to all the Father desires to give of his own gracious gifts. Blessed is he that gives according to the commandments, for he is free from guilt. Judgment belongs to him that receives. For if a man receives being in need, he will be guiltless. But he who is not in need will have to stand trial as to why he took, and for what purpose, and coming under arrest will be questioned about his conduct, and will not be released until he has paid the last penny. However, in this regard, there is also a word of Scripture. Let your alms sweat in your hands until you find out to whom you should give it. Chapter 2. Now the second commandment of the teaching is this: you will not murder. You will not commit adultery. You will not corrupt the youth. You will not commit fornication. You will not steal. You will not practice magic or the arts. You will not use sorcery. You will not kill a child by abortion. Neither shall you slay it when born. You will not covet the goods of your neighbor. Do not commit perjury. Do not bear false witness. Do not speak evil. Do not bear malice. Do not be double-minded or double-tongued, for a double tongue is a deadly snare. Your speech will not be false or empty, but made good by action. Do not be covetous, rapacious, or hypocritical, or malicious, or arrogant. Do not take up a blind design against your neighbor. You will hate no man, but some you will reprove, and for some you will create light, and for some you will love above your life. Chapter 3. My youth, flee from every blind action and every evil thing, and from everything that is like it. Be not prone to anger, for anger leads to murder. Be not jealous, nor quarrelsome, nor hot-tempered, for all these things engender murder. My youth, be not lustful, for lust leads to fornication. Do not be foul-mouthed or give free rein to your eyes, for from all these things come adulteries. My youth, become not an omen watcher, looking for omens, right? Since it leads into idolatry. Do not be an enchanter or an astrologer or an expiator, an expiator, and do not wish to see and hear these things, for of all these things idolatry arises. My youth, do not be a liar, for lying leads to theft. Be not a lover of money or vain pretender, for from all these things theft arises. Excuse me. My youth, do not be a grumbler or complainer, because it leads to blasphemy. Be not presumptuous or blind in your mind, for all these things blasphemies are produced. But be meek, since the meek will inherit the earth. Become long-suffering and merciful, and guileless, and guide, and good, and tremble continually at the words you have heard. Do not exalt yourself, or open your heart to presumption. Do not be on intimate terms with the lofty, but associate with the just and the humble. Accept the things that happen to you as good, knowing that without the great Elohim nothing happens. Chapter 4. My youth, remember day and night him that speaks the word of God to you, and honor him as you do the Lord. For where the teaching of our healer and pure breather of light is given, there the healer is. Seek daily contact with the anointed to be refreshed by their shavors. You will not desire division, but will set at peace contending parties. Be just in your judgment, and make no distinction between blood of the earth and blood of the earth when correcting transgression. Do not waver in your decisions. Do not be one that opens his hand to receive and shuts them when he comes to giving. If you have the means, give a ransom for your blindness by the labor of your hands. Excuse me. Do not hesitate to give, and do not give in a grumbling mood, for you will know who the good rewarder really is. Let me just take some of this C60 here. For will know who the good rewarder really is. And you will not turn away from the needy, but will share all things with your brother, and will not say that they are your own, But if you are sharers in that which is imperishable, how much more so in the things that perish? Do not withdraw your hands from your son or your daughter, but from their youth teach them the fear of God. You will not command with bitterness your servant, male or female, for they hope in the same God. Likewise, they might lose their fear of God, who is the master of both of you. For he comes not to call men with respect of rank or station in life, but he comes to those whom the Spirit has prepared. And you, servants, be submissive to your masters as to God's image in reverence and fear. You will hate all hypocrisy and everything that is not pleasing to the great Elohim. You will by no means abandon your commandments of the healer and pure breather of light, but will guard that which you have received, neither adding to it nor taking from it. In the perfect circle of the called out ones, you will confess your transgressions and will not come forward in your creation of light with a guilty conscience. Such is the way of life. Chapter 5. Now the way of death, which is also known as the setting sun. Hey, Duck, you're welcome. Good to have you. Hope things are going well with you. So the way of death or the setting sun is like this. First of all, it is blindness and full of cursing, murders, adulteries, lust, fornications, thefts, idolatries, magical arts, sorceries, robberies, false testimonies, hypocrisies, double-mindedness, fraud, pride, malice, surliness, covetousness, foul speech, jealousy, audacity, loftiness, and false pretensions. It is the way of those who persecute the good, hating truth, loving falsehood, of men ignorant of the reward of perfection in light and living, not devoted to what is perfect or light, nor to perfect judgment, on the watch not for the light, but for the darkness, from whom meekness and patience are afar off, of men who love vanity, pursuing rewards, of men who have no compassion for the poor, are not concerned about the oppressed, do not know him that made them, of murderers of children, destroyers of God's image, of blood of the, or of Yahweh's image, correctly stated because they destroyed it with the words first, of Yahweh's image, of blood of the earth, who turn away from him that is in need, oppressing him that is afflicted, advocates of the rich, lawless. That reminded me of Duck's video the other day where he talked about the poor man that was on the steps of the courthouse or somewhere near there, and after he lost everything, then people wanted to kick him around, try to push him in front of an automobile, stole what little he had left. It's amazing, and Duck was rather appalled at that, and rightfully so. And here it just reminded me of that here, oppressing him that is afflicted. Why would we want to oppress anybody that's already kicked down to the ground? Only the insane, of course, would do that. The sick of mind, advocates of the rich, lawless judges of the poor. In a word, of men steeped in darkness. From all these little ones may you be preserved. Chapter 6. See that no blood of the earth leads you astray from this way of seed planting, of teaching, because the eye, he who does so, teaches you apart from God. Surely you are able to bear the whole yoke of our healer and pure breather of light, and you will be perfect. But if you are not able, then do that which you are able to do, as much as possible, or as little as you are able. And concerning food, bear that which you are able to do, but be exceedingly on your guard against things offered to idols, for that is a worship of dead gods. Chapter 7. Concerning immersion, the purification rite of baptism, baptize as follows. Having first recited all these things, baptize in the royal title of the great Father, Yahweh, and of the Son, Yeshua, and of the only true, anointed, pure, great breath of light on the wind and wings of fire throughout all time, the Holy Spirit, within running water. But if you do not have running water, and running water means, of course, like a stream, a river. But if you do not have running water, baptize in other water. And if you cannot baptize in cold, then in warm. But if you have neither, then pour water on the head 3 times, in the royal title of the great Father of light, and of his only loved seed and Son, and of the only true, anointed, pure, great breath of light on the wind and wings of fire throughout all time, the Holy Spirit. And what is the name of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit? It is Yeshua. In the most primitive, it is Yashulanva. Yashulanva he Moshe Yanke. Okay, or commonly known as Jesus the Christ, but it is Yeshua the Mashiach. Okay, not the healing Zeus. Before the baptism, let the baptizer and he who is able to be baptized fast previously, as well as any others who are able, and you will have him who is baptized fast for 1 or 2 days before. And I think they included the aspect of fasting here because they found out that there were a lot of pretenders, and so they wanted to get past the pretenders, and this would be a time of testing, a period of testing. But typically, as we see in our New Testament, they as soon as somebody was ready to be transformed in their being, they went right to the water. They didn't wait, and so there's a definite reason for doing that, because life is full of diversions, and to put somebody under the covenant relationship, it's the aspect of pulling them out of the fire, right? Pull them out of the fire. And so we want to get people out of the fire, but this may have been done in a monastic setting, in an environment that is not filled with other diversions, So chapter 8, but as for your fast, let them not coincide with the hypocrites, for they fast on the 2nd and 5th days of the week, but you should fast on the 4th and 5th days. Now, and I think this is talking most specifically to the navigators, who we call prophets, but they're really the navigators. Let me continue here. It's been a while since I read this. Excuse me. Needed some of my throat tonic here. Okay. And so do not pray as the hypocrites do, but pray as Yahweh commands in his star message. Our Father, who rules from the throne of the sun, sacred and set apart is your royal title. Your royal domain in the house of the sun has come. Your will be done on earth as it is in the throne of the sun. And give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation or testing, but deliver us from the darkness. For yours is the power and the illumination forever. And three times in a day, pray in some fashion like that. In other words, in regard to these things. Okay? Not literally that we repeat it verbatim, which is also considered vain repetition. Chapter 9, regarding the bread, the unleavened bread, after this fashion give thanks. And I feel like the order was reversed here because they always took the bread first. And when these writings, these lost writings, get in the hands of the priesthood, they always reverse everything. That's just typical to what they do. They reverse everything. So fasting is a part of our spiritual tradition. We're told to fast for those who persecute us, and also Yeshua told his followers when they could not heal someone, he says, well, that's because you need to fast and pray. It's a denial of the serpent. The serpent is craving, and the serpent has to be brought into subjection. But regarding the body, the unleavened bread, after this fashion give thanks. We thank you, our great Father of light, for the life and the knowledge which you have made known to us through Yeshua, your servant. And also servant is serpent. You see, there's the word right there. Serpent. That's the servant hand. To you be the illumination forever, as This broken bread was scattered over the hills, and then when they gathered together, became one body. So let your perfect circle of the called out ones be gathered together from the ends of the earth into your royal domain. For yours is the illumination and the power through Yeshua the Mashiach forever. And then when they took the cup, breathed, we give thanks to our great Father for the pure anointed vine of David, the vine of life, thy servant, which you have made known to us through your servant Yeshua, the servant hand. To you be the illumination forever. Let there be light. And let no one eat or drink of this pure sacrament except those that have been buried in the royal title of the healer and pure breather of light, the Naga healer. For regarding this, the breathing of our healer is applicable. Do not give that which is pure to the dogs. Chapter 10. And the dogs are the Freemasons by definition, even though it may have a greater implication. Also the priesthood, of course. After you have taken your fill of food, give thanks as follows. We give you thanks, only true, anointed, pure Father, for your sacred name, your royal title, which you have caused to dwell in our hearts, and for the knowledge and victory of light and immortality, which you have made known to us through Yeshua, your servant hand. To you is the illumination forever. You, the one who sees all things in the eye of the return, Mother Star, did create all things for the sake of your royal title, and have given, I have to take a note here, forgive me, bad radio, but I have to write this down. Okay, thank you. You did create, I'll try this again. You, the one who sees all things in the eye of the return, Mother Star, did create all things for the sake of your royal title, and have given both food and drink for blood of the earth to enjoy, that we might give thanks to you. But to us you have graciously given spiritual food and drink, and eternal life through your Son. Above all, we thank you because you are mighty and able to save. You are the one who sees all things in the eye of the return and able to save. To you is the illumination forever. Remember, Yahweh, who is our great healer and pure breather of light, your perfect circle of the called out ones, to deliver it from every darkness and to make it perfect with your travain love, and gather it together from the four winds, even that which has been sanctified for the royal domain which you have prepared for it, the royal domain, the house of the sun. For yours is the power and the illumination forevermore. Let the pure breath, the favor for all, come, and let this world pass away. Hoshana, the true harvest, the true harvest of the serpent, for the son of David. Whoever is pure, let him come to the body. Whoever is not, let him rebreathe with the breath of a star. Maranatha, let there be light. Hoshana means the true harvest of the serpent, and because the serpent is the flesh, and going into the water is the purification of the serpent, which is the flesh. course, they didn't teach us in seminary because they don't want us to get the pictures. But permit the navigators to give thanks as much as they desire. Chapter 11. Now, whoever comes and teaches you all these things aforesaid, receive him. But if the teacher, the seed planter, himself turn aside and teach a different doctrine, so as to undermine the seed plantings, do not listen to him. But if he seed plant so as to promote the perfection of light and the key knowledge of our healer and pure breather of light, then receive him as our healer and pure breather of light. Now, in regard to the royal Malek and the navigators, the apostles and the prophets, act strictly according to the doctrine of the star message. Let every royal messenger upon his arrival be received as our healer and pure breather of light. He will remain 1 day, and if necessary, a second. But if he remain 3 days, then he is a false navigator. At his departure, the royal Malek must receive nothing except food and necessities to last till the next night's lodging. But if he asks for money, he is a false navigator. And every navigator who speaks in the great breath, do not test him or entertain any doubts, for every blindness will be forgiven, but this blindness will not be forgiven. And this is really, you can see the setting of the primitive when they're in, like, the land of Israel and Utah, because this is very, there were so many of them, I'm sure, at that time. It was an outpouring that we can't begin to imagine in a setting unlike we have today. And and continuing here, however, not everyone who sparks in a great breath is a navigator, but only if he has the ways of our healer and pure breather of light about him. So by their ways the false navigator and the true navigator is known. And every navigator who in the great breath orders that a table will be set must not partake of it. Otherwise he is a false navigator. And every navigator who seed plants the truth from the tree's root does not do what he seed plants, he is a false navigator. But every navigator who is approved as true and does something by way of symbolizing the perfect circle of the called out ones, aka church, in an earthly manner, yet does not instruct others to do all that he himself is doing, will not be judged of you, for his judgment rests with Yahweh. For the navigators of ancient time acted in a very same manner. But whoever will say in the breath, give me money or something else, you will not listen to him. However, if he tells you to give something to others that are in need, let no one judge him. Chapter 12. Last chapter, I think, here. Let everyone that comes in the royal title of our healer and pure breather of light be received. But afterwards you will examine him and know his character, and you will, of course, use your discretion either for or against him. And if he who comes is a transient visitor, assist him as much as you can, but he will not stay with you more than 2 days, or, if necessary, 3. But if he desires to settle among you, then if he is a craftsman, let him work for his living. But if he have no trade, use your judgment in providing activities for him, so that a follower of the Mashiach will not live idly among you. But if he is not willing to do so, he is one who makes gain out of the Mashiach, and be on your guard against such people. Now I've got a couple more short chapters here, 3 more pages. Chapter 13. But every true navigator which is willing to settle among you is entitled to his support. Likewise, every true seed planter is a laborer entitled to his support. You will therefore take all first fruits of vintage and harvest of cattle and sheep, and will give it to the navigators, for they are your high priests. But if you have no navigator, give it to the poor. If you take bread, or take the first loaf and give it according to the instruction, in the same manner you open a fresh jar of wine or oil and take it first and give it to the navigators. Take also the first fruits of money and clothes and any other possessions, and set aside the first portion as it seems right for you, and give it according to the commandment. Chapter 14, that on our healer's day, that's the first day of the week, the healer's day when the sun rose, Sunday, assemble together and break bread and give thanks after having confessed your faults, so that your offering may be pure. However, no one quarreling with his brother may join your meeting until they be reconciled, that your offering may not be defiled. For this is that which was spoken by our healer and pure breather of light. In every place and time offer me a pure offering, for I am a mighty royal Malek, breathes our healer and pure breather of light, and my royal title will be great among the nations. Chapter 15. Now appoint for yourselves bishops and deacons, men who are worthy of our healer and pure breather of light, who are meek and not covetous, and upright and proved, for they as well render you the service of the navigators and seed planters. Do not for this reason despise them. After all, they are your dignitaries, together with the navigators and seed planters. Do not therefore despise them. After all, they are... okay, I read that. Furthermore, correct one another, not in anger, but in composure, as you have commandments in the star message. And when anyone errs against another, let no one speak with him. In fact, he should not even be talked about by you until he has made his amends. But in your creation of light and your alms giving and all of your action, do exactly as you have it in the star message of our healer and pure breather of light. And chapter 16, watch over your life. Let not your lamps go out, nor your loins be ungirded, but be ready, for you know not the hour in which your healer and pure breather of light comes. But you will assemble together often, and seek the things which concern your souls. Surely your lifelong victory of light will not profit you, or your lifelong faith will not profit you, if you are not found perfect at the end of time. For in this final age, the false navigators and corrupters will be multiplied, and the sheep will be turned into wolves, and love will be turned into hate. When lawlessness is on the increase, blood of the earth will hate and persecute and betray one another. And then will the deceiver of our world appear, claiming to be the seed of the sun, and give striking exhibitions of power. And the earth will be given over into his hands, and he will do unlawful things such as never happened since the beginning of the world. Then all created blood of the earth undergo the fiery test, and many will lose their victory of light and perish. But those who stand firm in their victory of light will be saved by the accursed itself, or will be saved from. It should be from the accursed itself. And then will appear all the signs of truth from the tree's root. First, a sign of an opening in the sun, and then a sign of the sound of the trumpet, and thirdly, a resurrection for those who are dead while walking upon the earth. Yet not of all, but in accordance with the breathing, our healer and pure breather of light comes, and all the anointed with him. This is the golden age of light, when the world sees and reads for themselves our healer and pure breather of light as he comes in the clouds with the sun and with the sunrise. And that is the Didache, ladies and gentlemen, a very profound work. And that was the handbook of Christianity. Okay, and really profound. So I'm going to take a musical interlude. It doesn't look like Yah Love is here. So I'm going to just go to a musical break and grab me another throat tonic, and then I will be back at it, and I have a review I want to do. I think I'll save this for this evening, though. I think this will be really good for tonight's program. I'm going to go into some words, okay, and then a wrap with either History of the Church or Philo. I may go jump on Philo though, because I haven't done it over the last day or so. All right, so glad you tuned in, and you are getting the forbidden history, what they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Be right back. Stand by. Ran out of song. Sorry about that. We don't do commercial breaks, and no, we do take a break. I gotta pace myself here. And you're tuned in right here to the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. We get the job done on a song, a wing, and a prayer, and you are our prayer, ladies and gentlemen. And hope everybody's doing okay out there. No, Ninja, hope you're doing all right. Just taking some honey. Hang on. get me through the rest of the program here. So I'm going to have raw honey, high in enzymes. Yeah. No, that's why I got to get that other song. It gives me an extra minute. All right. Got the honey. Took some C60. And we're back at it, ladies and gentlemen, with the words they killed us with. I'm still trying to work through the words I've been getting over the last week I was off. But so, a few things. And don't forget, we'll be on later on tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and doing a Sunday night special. It won't be a long program in comparison with the morning program, but I want to answer questions. Okay, what I want for the evening program, in particular, and tonight I'll be have two questions. Okay, from listeners, breaking bread, and also on the definition of hell, and Sheol and Hades and Plutarch, and what's the definition of hell. So I'm going to talk about that, and so if anybody has questions for the the program in the evening, then then get it to me. I'll put it on a 3x5 card, and I'll work my way through them. Okay, so I want to answer questions in the evening. That's one of the objectives. I'll take it during the day, of course, as well, but I want to specifically do that in the evenings. On anything I've talked about, we can go back. If you want me to review the certain topic again, I can do that. So I'm just trying. I'm going to present a lot of the things that I did in the first 2 weeks as well, on the flood, the second coming, right? When he rose from the dead, the comeback kid, and what they didn't want us to know, but we tell right here. So okay, so that's tonight. But so it is finished. When Yeshua was on the cross, it is finished. We have to conceptualize what finished means, because very often, as you know, with the original thought, you get a picture, because as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but that's the original thought was conveyed in pictures. So literally, it's very, very likely that the statement "it is finished" would have been more like this: that the circle is completed. Okay, the circle is completed, and so because what do we see? We talk about going full circle, right? Full circle, and so that's creating the picture, and I'm rather convinced that's probably closer to the original meaning from the Aramaic, that the circle is completed. Now the cycle of creation has come full circle, and now. Ninja, we're talking tonight, so we're talking 10 hours, roughly 10 hours from now. Okay, roughly 9.5 hours from now, 9 hours and 40 minutes from right now. Okay, that's tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. Okay, so it is finished. The circle is completed. Earth, literally, as you can see within the word earth, is the prefix is ear, E-A-R, okay? And the TH represents the ether, okay? And so literally the word earth in the original thought literally means to hear the breath, to hear the breath. The TH represents the breath and the ether, okay? So to hear the breath. So on earth, the earth was designed so that we can hear the breath, okay? And we heard the breath when he came down and wrote a book, a whole library of books for us to read. But the breath is also breathing through nature and through all things, okay? And even the occult are breathing, truth, even though they're of the darkness. They're even breathing some of the truth. They're pretenders, right? They're the great pretenders. So to hear the breath. That's what the original thought in the earth is, okay? Ray, R-A-Y, is the royal eye, like the ray of light. Therefore, the original thought is the royal eye, meaning that which is coming down to illuminate. Okay, that's your morning. And freed is an interesting word because, it's a corruption. It's not the original word, shavor. And so freed is also Freya, in potentially the more correct form. So Freed, let me type it in here. Free would be FrayAth. Freya. That may be closer to the original Indo-Germanic. Of course, we have no written record of the original Indo-Germanic, so it's part speculative, but it's also based on the symbol. So once you know the meaning of the symbol, it's less speculative and it's more succinct. In other words, it's certainly more succinct than Free. Free is a modern concept, but Freyath, you see the word Frey is right there. That's the mother of light. That's the Virgin Mother, the light that comes down. That's the real freedom, right? The light shining. That's where we find our freedom in the light. And the Ath, meaning of the ether. So the highest light. It means the highest light. Well, if we're in the highest light, then we are in the true sovereignty, and that's where true freedom is. Okay, and then it is a maxim of law. Or of scriptures, one of the scriptures that said a true freeman is one who's been made free from having their eyes closed, or as it said it in the corrupt form, a freeman is the one who is free from sin. And so that's the true freeman, one who's free from darkness, free from having their eyes closed, and can see things clearly. And so Enoch, interesting because we know Enoch is a powerful character of our old covenant who wrote a couple books, so gets credit for the oldest books. But Enoch is the E, as we talked about, is the corruption, and it's the A. The E has been supplementing the A, so it's Enoch. And so we have the two words in the essence of that, A-N and then O-C-H, and it means one return. Okay, it's talking about one return. There's not like two returns. Some go over there, some go over here. It's one return about bringing back. And then when you read it backwards, you actually have the root of Cana. So it's interesting. So it's very metaphorical, and you can see the opposite is like the darkness, and the forward reading is of the light. There's a lot more that can be said about that, but I just wrote that down quickly on a card as an example. So Enoch. It's all about the A. Remember that, the A. And or it's just in the literal sense, Enoch, we can hear A representing the light, and knock, as it sounds, means darkness. So literally, Enoch means the light of darkness. The light of darkness, Enoch. But if we use the N on the prefix, then it's an ok, and ok. And oak sounds like oak tree, but it's ok for octave, meaning return. So you see, there's several ways of reading the word depending upon where you put the accent or the emphasis in the word. This is part of the mystery of the diction. It's very fluid. Okay, very fluid. And so Canaan is Ganun. We talked about that, Ganun. And it means the garden of the high noon, meaning the garden of the atoms, the garden of light. What could be more of a garden than the light? It's projecting down, but this is the lower world. This is not the true garden. The true garden of paradise is in the light. And that's the great mystery, because we are clothed with the flesh, but yet Yeshua wants us to be clothed with the light, right? To be clothed with the light. Forget the flesh. Let's put on the white robe of the light. You see? And so we're primitive. We're coming to an awareness of something that is greater, and we can hardly begin to imagine what that must be like, in being in that pure energy, the light of the sun, never going to sleep again. You're certainly not going to close your eyes and go to sleep once you're in that light. It's like, wow, It's beyond our comprehension. This is beyond mine anyway. I just know that it's something profoundly great, and we have to, you know, discover our truth while we're here. It is not going to happen by accident. And so literally then so in the duality, talking about that duality again, remember that Israel came into what they called the promised land, right? But they didn't get it, did they? And they were banished from that promised land. And so that promised land, which was a piece of dirt, was purely symbolic. And so the Ganun literally is the true promised land, because the promised land is of the spirit and not of the earth. We're told to hate the earth, right? Hate the earth. Well, that's funny. Israel was getting a piece of dirt and a couple mountains, right? But it was a symbol, and that's why that they could not transcend in that. Although some did, you know, because they had pure hearts and lived pure. But I'm talking about as a culture, as a people, they were of the darkness. They went into the paganism. They went into building these sacrificial altars and putting their children through the fire. So the true promised land is the garden at high noon. It is the Ganun, the big gun, the cannon. That's where the word cannon comes from. The big gun is the sun, right? The light that comes down. That's the only light we have. It's our power source. It's our symbol. It's the logo. It is the Shavor. It is the word, the rain of light raining down. And spear is interesting because it sounds like sphere, and the P has to have an H on it according to original. So spear actually is sphere, because if you look at the old points of spears, they had a round curve on them, so they were like a sphere, and that's where the word sphere comes from. Sphere, and it means judgment. Oh, there you go. There's the meaning of the sphere. The sphere is a symbol of judgment, and that's why you find the dome on top of all the courthouses and and also the capitals, because it is the dome, the place of judgment, the circle, okay? And you can see noon and dome and Adom, the eye of judgment. And hermitage, interesting, from the sand is you know, it means a temple or church, and so what is the word in Sanskrit? It is Vatika. Remember, I've been telling you the priesthood, ancient Aryan Brahmin priesthood. I just learned a few days ago that the word Vatika is Sanskrit. So can you say Vatican? Vatican is Vatika, and it comes from India. Okay, Vatika, and Vat is the serpent, and so literally Ika implies the like ik, like ink. It implies darkness. So Vatika literally means the place of darkness, not the place of light, but the place of darkness. Vatika. Okay? You can't make this stuff up. I'm just reading the words. So let there be light, ladies and gentlemen. Still time to call in if anybody has a comment or a question. Love to hear from someone hadn't heard from before. Right, Shakespeare is a name for well, there was apparently my knowledge of the story is there was an actor named Shakespeare, but he was illiterate, and so he becomes the character for Francis Bacon. Of course, we weren't there, so you know we can't ever fully appreciate the story. But Shakespeare is a term for shaking the spear. And if you remember, I did a presentation on going to Psalm 46. And when you go to Psalm 46, you count down 46 words and you get shake. And then you count up from the bottom 46 words and you get spear. And there you got Shakespeare, 46. And I think the rumor was he lived to be 46 years old. And there's more to it. Well, thank you, Martha. It's certainly my pleasure and privilege, and and it's an obligation for me. If I don't talk, I'm dead. So we have to say these things, and as I do it, I continually see things myself. I'm teaching myself as I'm sharing with everybody else. And the reiteration, the reiteration is so important to because like just that word Aisha. When I talk about it tonight, I'll be talking about that word Aisha again and going into the patriarchs because you know uh, I'm still absolutely floored, blown away by recognizing that they changed all the names to an extreme so that we would never get it. Isha, Ishmael, Ishiak, Isaac, and Esau. All of them had the name Aisha, and that's why even in what we call the Middle East is Asia Minor, the light of Asia, meaning the royal eye, the royal woman. And I mean the priesthood worked overtime to put the fix in so we would never get it. And it's the greatest miracle. I've had many of them, but this to me is one of the most astounding miracles to have seen it. And it's just because I kept repeating over and over what I knew to be true, Esha Real, Esha Real, Esha Real. Then I looked at the word for woman, and it was Isha, sometimes Issa without the H. And then I said, well, no, so that's Aisha because it's the royal woman. And the I has to come out. And then when I did that, then all of a sudden I'm looking at Ishmael and Isaac and Esau and realizing, yeah, there it is, okay, because it was the royal line. And so it would make sense that Abraham, which is the first letter A, Abraham, A, then goes into Aisha, the royal A for Ishmael, Ishmael, the royal eye of the mother's enlightenment. But then he's of the slave woman. He says, no, it's not going to be him. It's going to be out of your your lawful wife. And so then it's Eshayak, and there we find the prime suffix of Moshiach, the Moshiach in the one that was promised, not the one by the slave. And so there's our duality again, and then Esau is going to inherit the title. He had the blessing. He was going to get the blessing and the inheritance, and he sold it. He sold his inheritance. Therefore, he loses his title of Aisha, and it goes to Yaakov, the seed of light. And he says, then your name from now on will be Aisha Real, who then brings us the 12 patriarchs, And so what were they called? Aisha Real. So it's the family name. Aisha, what it means is the true woman's line. The eye, meaning the center of royalty. They were a royal family, a royal, going back all the way to Adam, through Enoch, through Methuselah, through Noah, through Shem and Ham and Yalfet, So what a story, and then when you put the words back, you see what it really means. There's no mystery anymore. The mystery was in trying to see it with all the jumbled words. Now it's so plain. It was meant to be interpreted, to help us out on the journey, to let us know about the duality. There's two of us. That's what Gemini means. One's got to die so the other lives. And the one that has to die is the flesh, the lower desires of deception. Feed me, feed me, feed me. Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. More, morals. Give me more, give me all. Instead, to be in the aspect of as if needing nothing, because spirit is satisfied with just knowing. And then all other things are lawful to use if we use them in proper proportion. So Seth is we find him in the other cultures in the Mitzrayim, aka Egypt, as Set, S-E-T, but Set in our tradition is spelled S-E-T-H, but it's abbreviated as they abbreviate everything, and we find it in the Eastern tradition of India as Shiva. Shiva, see, it's the same character type. It's that duality again that's telling a story. And Shiva, literally means the royal serpent. So what does it mean? Well, set, as it sounds like the sun was setting. But what does the sun do? It goes around. It goes around and comes back up. So that's why it's called the royal serpent. It's the Ouroboros. It keeps eating its tail. But so set literally implies that the light is hiding. There's our duality, because we got nighttime and daytime. Nighttime and daytime. The light and the darkness. The light and the darkness. Which one do you want? It's making an offer. You can have one or the other. Telling you every day, one or the other. The duality of nature. The nature of this universe. Our world. Our being. And so Shivat literally means the royal serpent. And so where do you put your sword? You put it in your sheth, your sheath. The sheath is the Seth. It's the Shiva, the sheath. And so the sword goes into the sheath, into the Seth. It sets. It sets, and then it comes back around and starts all over again. The royal serpent, the Ouroboros eating its tail. It's also known as the 7 times, even in the Hindu tradition, or the 7 times full is what it's called, the 7 times full. So what it was implying is it was initiating our cycle of 7. It was how it all began. Okay, isn't it interesting that it's universal around the world? Everybody recognizes 7 days, and then it starts over again. So 7 is the number of perfection, 6 is the number of creation, and on the last day there was a rest, but it represented that which is at the beginning. That which is first is like that which is last. That which is last is like that which is first. What do they call the 7th day? They call it the Shiva, the Shivats. They say Sabbath, but it's the Shivats. The B is a V. The Shivats, there's Seth right there in the last day at the end. The Shivat, the Shiva. And it means the royal serpent. Okay? And the royal serpent, well, we call it Saturday, but that's Saturn's day. And that's correctly Solturn. It's a corruption. It's abbreviated. It's the Solturn day. The Solturn day. Why? Because we're at the end of the week, and now we're going back to the sun. We're going to turn back around to the sun and go to the Sunday. The Solturn, back to the sun. Solturn day. So it has 2 words, each of them very interesting, dealing with the 7th day. And so when did Yeshua rise? On the 1st day, which becomes also then the 8th day of his last week on earth, you see. And so interesting stories. And we got to see it the way they saw it. The royal serpent, okay? The snake is not evil. It is an image. It is a picture of something that tells us who we are and tells us who nature is, tells us what the sun can be represented by. You know, the electric eel. Okay, so we have another term, mastaba, and it's the word mast and shiva. There's the shiva again, shiva, and it means the column or the pillar. Therefore, the column or the pillar or the standing image. And what are the primordial standing images but sun and moon? Everything goes back to sun and moon, symbols of light and darkness, okay? So there's our duality again. And so, yeah, okay, I'm going to try to knock out Philo real quick and we'll be good, ladies and gentlemen, okay? I've got, where was I at in here? Let me see. Radio read, here we go. Okay, radio read. And where did I leave off? Did I put my post-it note anywhere? Come on. All right, here we go. Radio read, I didn't move that one. Okay, and God planted a paradise in Eden. And the great Elohim planted a paradise in Eden, in the east. And Eden is the atom, and that is the sun. Let me get some more light here. And still that phone is not ringing. No callers. I was hoping to get a caller-generated program here. That's okay. One of these days you're going to call in. All right. So, and the great Elohim planted a paradise in the atom. In the atom, that's the sun, the Eden. They corrupted it. The A is prevalent, dominant. Oh, and that fits that riddle, that was given to me a long, long time ago. There was A. So, and in the east, and there he placed his blood of the earth, whom he had formed. And by the way, I haven't forgotten my read on Genesis. So I'll be getting back to it starting tomorrow. I just wanted to do specials on the weekend for now. And there he placed the man whom he had formed. So he formed him on the earth, which had nothing there, because he was the first made on the earth by the fiery magma through Elohim. And then he's taken up into the throne of the sun, which is the atom, also known as paradise, the true garden. The earth is the lower garden. He's in the light. And that's why he knew how to make all those pyramid civilizations, cut all those stones, build the anti-gravity Vimana, knew about the free energy. Okay? Because he was with Yeshua. That changed the entire legacy of planet Earth. Okay, Mimi, that's okay. I'm not trying to make you feel guilty to call in. I'm just saying, you've called in a few times, okay? You called in. That's all right. I'm on a roll here, okay? I'm doing good. I think my voice is getting stronger over the last several weeks now and a couple months. And it's just not the same old me anymore. That's okay, but I've learned more. I just can't talk it as well anymore. For he called the divine, okay, put the man where he formed. For he called that divine the light, the wisdom of light. For he called that divine the wisdom of light by many names. He called that light by many names. Okay, yeah, like I can give you some of the names of the light: Sharfan, Sol, Sun, Ouroboros, Cobra. And off the top of my head, I can't. There's more, but the sun has many names, just like we all have many names, right? Some of us are mother or father, or like the man could be a father, a husband, a carpenter, an actor, right? He can have several titles, right? He can be a brother, he can be a cousin, right? He's all these different things. These are different aspects of who he is, and it's the same with the nature of other things. So, okay, so and he made it manifest that it had many applications. The different titles have different applications, right? For he called it the beginning. Okay, well, what was in the beginning? The light. There you go. You see, Philo's coming to the rescue here, and he backs me up on what I've been trying to say. He says he called it the beginning, and then what? And then he says next, and the image. Well, that's what the Greek says. The logo. The logo is the image, and the sight of, and see, it says sight here. They're being clever with the code. Thank you, Martha. Thank you. The code, right? Well, it's not and sight of God, not the sight of God. It's the eye of God. You see, they're tricking us. It's the word trick again. And thank you, Mew Mew. Okay, it's not the sight of God. It's the eye of the great Elohim. Oh, and that's another name for it, Elohim. So they're doing word tricks here. You see, and I'm giving you the interpretation. So if you went back to Philo, got your own copy, and it's in the Book of Allegorical Interpretation, and it's page 29, and it's section 14 and in paren 43, because it came out of two different translations. So okay, so listen to this again, and he made it, and realize I saw all of this before I read Philo. And when I'm reading Philo, I'm saying, there it is. It's like I can't get over this. I can't get over it. He's backing me up here. What Yeshua told me, what he taught me to trust I was seeing, Philo then became the confirmation. I carried his book around with me for 25 years after my divorce, right? 25 years. And then I finally say, I got to read that book, and it was a mind blower how this is a treasure. This helps you to see everything that's in there, but they still corrupted it. They still mistranslated it on purpose. Those wonderful Baalite suits. Baal means master, and sooths, it sounds like soothsayers, and that's what they were, voodoo magicians, changing the words so we never get the picture. I'm going to read it again. And so he revealed it through many appellations with many names. With many names, that's appellation. And he called it in the beginning. He called it the beginning, capital letters. Called it the image, and called it the eye of the great Elohim. Here it is, the eye of God. And now he exhibits, that's what we would call the all-seeing eye. Of course he's all-seeing. He sees all things at all times. It's amazing. And now he exhibits the wisdom which is conversant about the things of the earth. Oh, and now he's talking about the earth as being an imitation, get this, of the archetypal wisdom. The earth is an imitation of the archetypal wisdom, which is, of course, where? In the atom, in the light. Okay? In the plantation of this paradise. Okay, meaning the light coming down. The plantation is the earth. That's where you work, slave. That's where you got to work to unravel the great mystery. In the plantation of this paradise. For let not such impiety ever occupy our thoughts as for us to suppose that the great Elohim cultivates the land and plants gardens. Or it says here paradises, plural meaning more than one, since if we were to do so, we would be presently raising the question of why he does this. So it could not be that he might provide himself with pleasant places of recreation and pastime, or with amusement. Let not such fabulous nonsense ever enter our minds, for even the whole world would not be a worthy place or habitation for our Yahweh, since he is a place unto himself, and that's the light. He is a place unto himself. That's where we want to be, in his bosom, and that is the light of the sun, you see. And he himself is full of himself, and meaning, that's a rough way to say it, meaning he is complete. He is complete, and he himself is complete in himself, all existing, ever existing, always will exist. Let me change that. Complete in himself, and he himself is sufficient, and meaning enough for himself. He needs nothing else. Filling up and surrounding everything else which is deficient, filling up everything else with his light. Filling up and surrounding everything else which is deficient in any respect. And that's what he's doing with the words, right? With the Shavor. Anything that is deserted or empty, filling it up. But he himself is surrounded by nothing else, as being himself one and the universe. Himself being one and the universe. Should be capital U. Great Elohim therefore sows and implants terrestrial virtue in the earthly race, being an imitation, get that, an imitation and representation of the virtue of the light of the sun. Here it says heavenly, but that's the code. It's the light. It's always about the light. And heaven, is a corruption because it means the even. And what is the even? It is the evening. The evening, that's not the light, that's the darkness. That's when the sun goes down. That's symbolic of death. So that's the word heaven, the even. You can see it. Just look at the word. Even, the night. So the code is for covering the light, which there's only one light. It is the sun. And it's a great logo. It's the symbol of the ultimate light that's beyond the visible light, what we could call the ultraviolet light. Violet for the royal, right? They wore the purple, as a representation of that secret light, because they were secret occultists in Rome and in other royal traditions. They're playing the role again of being in the light when they're of the darkness. So for pitying our race, feeling sorry for us, and seeing that it is exposed to abundant and innumerable blindnesses, that's the code evil. It should be blindnesses, not evils, blind or darknesses. The eye he firmly planted terrestrial virtue as an assistant against the ward off of the diseases of the soul. Okay, our assistants could even relate. The first thing I thought of was the beautiful nature. You know how we see the animals, so beautiful and innocent, right? You know that touches our soul, and they represent the innocence that we should have. As I have said before, an imitation of the sun, and archetypal wisdom, the illumination, which he calls by various names. Now, virtue is called a paradise, metaphorically, and the appropriate place for the paradise is the atom. Here it says Eden, but it's the atom and is the sun. The appropriate place for paradise is where? In the light of the sun. And I've got revelations in the writings of the Essenes, where even Yalkanon John went up into the throne of the sun in a vision. So did Enoch, and apparently so did Paul. And they corrupt these writings, so we don't get the picture. But I'll read it maybe next week. And this means not luxury, because here it says luxury. It means rest. It means peace. It means fulfillment. And the most appropriate field for virtue is peace and rest and enlightenment. Here it says luxury again, especially consist. Here, real luxury, I think the word fulfillment would be better here. Moreover, the plantation of this paradise is represented in the east. There it is. Moreover, the plantation of this paradise is represented in the east. Well, what's in the east? It's the sunrise. It's the sun. It's planted. It said he's planted there. It's planted there, yeah, because the sun is the first made. Okay, and all the planets and the moons came out of it. And so it's planted in the east for our orientation. That's the original word for east, is orient. To get orientated, you need to get your orientation correct, because we come from the light. We fell from the light. For right reason never sets. There you go. Set, talking about sun setting, right? For right reason, or the reason of light, because right is a code for light. Change out the royal vowel R for the royal vowel L, the secret vowels R and L, and then it means for right, the reason of light never sets, just like the sun never sets. That's another illusion. And it is never extinguished. That's right. When it goes down, it's still shining. But it is its nature to be always rising. Okay, it's talking about the sun, but they don't say it out right here. They never mention the word sun one time so far in this discourse, you see, because they hid it. They hide the light. That's what the occult do. And the reason of light never sets, and it's never extinguished, but its nature is always rising. Let me get a sip of my drink here. This is fantastic. You don't get this anywhere else. You know that, of course, right? This was one of the most amazing reads, and I'm not done with the book. I'm only 2/3 of the way done. And you're getting it here first, ladies and gentlemen, because it needs to be gotten out. As I imagine the rising, finally the word sun comes up. Here it is. And as I imagine the rising sun fills the darkness of the air with light, so also does virtue when it has arisen within the soul. And the other word for virtue is power. Ladies and gentlemen, virtue is power. Power is virtue. When you're virtuous, when you put off the dark things of this world, then you got power with your maker. He's going to listen to you. But if you're fooling around in the darkness and not right, he's not going to hear you. Not going to hear you. As the blind man said, talking before the priesthood, after his eyes were opened by Yeshua, he says, now we know that the Great One hears not anybody with their eyes closed. Okay? So it created a picture in his blindness. Okay? Continuing here, let me back up. And as I imagine, the sun fills the darkness, the rising sun fills the darkness of the air with the light, so also does the virtue when it has arisen in the soul, irradiate its mist and dissipate in the dense darkness. Irradiate its mist. I think that's a code word right there for mystery, and I don't know what they took out of there. Irradiate in its, I would think it'd be center. Irradiate in its center and dissipate the dense darkness. Of course, it irradiates from the center. And there says Moshe El. I got to write the word center down. Hang on a minute. I got notes all over the place in here. Live forever, friends, okay? That's what this is all about. To be reborn, to rise from death in this world. Okay? To radiate from its center and dissipate the dense matter. And there breathes Moshe El, Moses. He placed the blood of the earth whom he had formed. He placed the blood of the earth whom he had formed. For the great Elohim being perfect in the light and having formed our race for virtue, talking about the Aryan race specifically, but the Aryans were supposed to bring the truth to the rest of mankind, to tell them they were also of a divine order made by Elohim, not evolved on earth, but placed here by great Elohim as his work which was most akin to himself. Well, that's light. Places the mind in virtue, evidently in order that it, like a good husbandman, like a perfect husbandman, may cultivate and attend to nothing else except virtue, meditating on the virtue. And someone may ask here, why, since it is a pious action to imitate the works of our great Elohim, our light, it is forbidden for me to plant a grove near the altar. Okay, I'm going to stop there a minute because I'm just going to go right into our King James for a minute. Hang on. That's if I can find it. I got books all over the place. Here it is. All right. I'm going to 1 John. Okay? 1 John. Chapter 1. That which was from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, which we have looked upon, and our hands have handled, of the word of life. The Shavor of life. That's the royal center, right? Shavor. For the life is manifested, not was manifested, is manifested, always manifested. We see it every day. And we have seen it. And bear record, bear witness, and show unto you that eternal life which is with the Father, not was with the Father, is with the Father, and is revealed unto us, not was. See how they change everything past tense? Even did that in Genesis. They use the word was, is. Oh, and they do it in the Gospel of John. In the beginning was the Word. No, in the beginning is the Word. In the Word was God. No, the Word is God. You see, that one change of a word changes the entire meaning. It's present tense. It's affirmative. Okay? 3, that which we have seen, and heard, we declare unto you, that you may also have fellowship with us. And truly our fellowship is with the great Father and with his Son, Yeshua, the Mashiach. And these things write we unto you, that your joy may be complete. And the word wouldn't be joy, that's a code. Your enlightenment. So your enlightenment can be complete, right? 5, this then, here's the key point coming up. This then is the message which we have heard of him and declare unto you, that the great Elohim is light, and in him, the one of the many, is no darkness at all. If we say that we have fellowship with him and walk in darkness, we are liars and are not ministers of the truth. Okay? So he is the light. But if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another. So he's in the light. He is the light. He's in the light. And the light made all things in the lower creation. From the pure paradise, from the pure garden, a supplemental, how did it say in here? A representation, a crude representation of the true paradise. That's the earth. The earth is the lower garden. Okay? So he's light. You see? And so what is light in our universe? What do we see outside our door every day? There is only one light. And yet we never talk about it. They never talk about it at the pulpit because they want to demonize the light by saying sun worship, you know. And I've studied ancient cultures, and I don't know any ancient culture that worshiped the sun. Zip, none. Because they all recognized the sun was the great logo that represented the great spirit that made all things. Our foundation was built upon lies and therefore created prejudice in our minds, so we could never get the picture. It's almost like we hate the sun, right? We hate the sun. And the sun is our life bearer. It is the royal scepter. It is the symbol of illumination and transcendence to where we want to go, from where we came. All right, I'm almost done here. I'm going to try to pull this down so I don't drop it in the middle of a thought and get to the next section. Let me take one more sip. So I hope you're getting the light, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? The more I share it, the more clear it becomes to me every moment, you know? It's, whoa. All right. So, okay, so, and some may say, ask here why, since it is a pious action to imitate the works of the great Elohim, it is forbidden for me to plant a grove near the altar, and yet the great Elohim plants a paradise. For Moshe El breathes, you will not plant a grove for yourself. You will not make yourself any tree which is near the altar of the great Elohim, your Yahweh, who is your great Elohim. What then are we to say? That it is right for the great Elohim to plant and to build up the virtues of the soul? That it is right. Okay. What are we to say? Well, that it is only right. It was, in other words, it was symbolism. And that it is right for the great Elohim to plant and to build up the virtues in the soul. But the selfish and atheistical mind, thinking itself equal with the great Elohim, while it appears to be doing something, is found in reality to be rather suffering. And though the great Elohim sows and plants the perfect things in the soul, sounds like the sun, but it's S-O-U-L, which is correctly the shul, the serpent and the owl, that of the earth and that of the air, the duality. Which one do you prefer? The mind, and let me back up, and though the great Elohim sows and plants perfect things in the soul, the mind, which is a mine, a gold mine, if we can use it right, which breathes, I plant, is acting impiously. In other words, we're not really the planters. It is Yahweh. It's just like when we all came together, you know, it was a divine appointment that we find each other to share in this message, okay, and to be here for each other. So I don't take credit for it. I can't take credit for it. I have been following. I'm just a follower. I'm not a leader. I'm a follower. I want to go. And you will not plant, therefore. You will not plant, therefore, where the great Elohim is planting. But if true and perfect and complete mind, you fix plants in the soul. Okay, that's the seed planter, right? That's the original word for teacher, seed planter. Take care to plant only such trees as can bear fruit, and not a grove. Okay, so there you go. So a grove is the man's construction, where Yeshua already made the garden. It's already here. There's no grove we can create. It's already here. We are the produce. We are the trees, and we bring forth the produce. So that's why they didn't want them planting groves, because we are the grove. We are the grove. There's the word grow, right? Grove is grovee. Is the sun row of the V's. Sun rows. Oh, okay. It's all in the words. For in a grove there are trees of character to bear cultivation, and also wild trees. But to plant vice, which is unproductive to the soul, along with cultivated and fertile virtue, is the act of a double-natured and confused leprosy. If, however, you bring into the same, if it's just the same way where, remember, if they were going to set up a monument, he said, don't cut the stone. Don't cut the stone, because then it's the work of man. Because the stone, the way it is the work of Yahweh. Okay? We always want to create things, don't we? We always want to make another idol, another image, another structure. You know, we're just can't stop making things, instead of recognizing that, what did it say? His works were finished from the beginning. His works were finished. All things were already made. The only one we have to build is ourself. That's the one we have to build, right? The character within. And so instead they get them building everything outside, like the Freemasons. They build everything but their character, right? They became psychopaths, blood drinkers, and child molesters, right? Right. But it's about building the character, and that's what they lie about. They say that's what they do, but they don't. They're criminals. Secret blood oaths, a piracy. Slit your throat from ear to ear if you do not do what the sacred order tells you to do. That's right, stonemasons, Freemasons. All right, continuing here, if I can continue. If I get this out. Racing down to the wire. Okay. So if, however, you bring to the same place, and by the way, it is an act of double-minded nature and confused leprosy. If, however, you bring into the same place things which ought not to be mingled together, and that's what they love to do, is mix things together, light and darkness, you must separate and disjoin them from the pure and incorrupt nature which is accustomed to make blameless offerings before our great Elohim. And this is his altar. That the earth is his altar. Of course it is. For it is inconsistent with this to say that there is any such thing as a work of the soul, when all things are referred to the great Elohim. In other words, it is his work. He is the author. He is the finisher. Remember? The author and finisher. And when all things are referred to the great Elohim, and to mingle barren things with those which are productive, for this would be faulty, but they are blameless things which are offered to our great Elohim. If therefore you transgress any one of these laws, true, perfect, and complete soul, you will be injuring yourself, not the great Elohim. On this account, the great Elohim breathes, you will not plant for yourself, for no one works for the great Elohim, and especially what is blind does not work for him. And again, Moshe El adds, you will not make for yourself, quote unquote. And in another place he breathes, quote, you will not make gods of silver with me, and you will not make gods of gold for yourselves, unquote. For he who conceives either that the great Elohim has any distinctive quality, or that he is not one, or that he is not uncreated and imperishable, or that he is not unchangeable, injures himself and not the great Elohim. quote, for you will not make them for yourselves, unquote, is what he breathes. For we must conceive that the great Elohim is free from distinctive qualities and imperishable and unchangeable. And he who does not conceive thus of himself is filling his own soul with false and atheistical opinions. Do you not see that? Even though great Elohim were to conduct us to virtue, and though when he had been thus conducted, we were to plant no tree which was barren, but only such fruit as produced, he would still command us to purify its impurity, that is to say, the appearing to plant. For he here orders us to cut away the vain opinions. And vain opinions are a thing impure by nature. And I was thinking immediately when he walked into Jerusalem in the last week, when he was, going to be betrayed, and he walked over it said he walked over as he's walking into, getting close to walking into the gate of Jerusalem, he saw a fig tree, and he was hungry, and he thought he'd walk over there to see if there were any figs on the tree. And when he saw no figs, he said, okay, you can't feed me? Then don't let any fruit grow on you hereafter and forever. Okay? And when they came back out of the gate in the evening, they looked at the tree and it was dead to the root. And what did the tree represent? It represented Jerusalem. He said he went in there to see if there was any fruit growing on the tree. That's the fruit of perfection of light, right? Of the tree, of the family tree, the line that supposedly came through him. And what did he find? No fruit at all. Just greed and corruption, murder, right? And so he said, let no fruit. And then what? Within 40 years, 40 or 45 years, when Flavius Vespasian and his son Titus sieged upon Jerusalem in 68 through 70 AD, they tore down its walls, destroyed its temple, took all the wealth of the temple and back to Rome, and built the Colosseum with all that wealth that they brought back. They built the Colosseum. And there's a memorial outside the Colosseum that shows all the menorahs and all the gold they brought back. Okay? It's over. There is no Israel. It was over in 730 AD. BC. It's in our scriptures. How come nobody reads it? So I'll just lead into what the next part will be about. I'm just going to give you a little preview. And I'm interested as well. And the blood of the earth whom he had formed, Moshe El Breeze, and the great Elohim placed in the paradise for, unquote, for the present only, who then is he in reference to whom he subsequently says that the Yahweh, who is the great Elohim. Now he's got Lord God, and that was the original expression. The great Elohim, Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, took the blood of the earth whom he had formed and placed him in paradise to cultivate and to guard it. So he placed him, and must not this blood of the earth, who was created according to the image and the idea of the great Elohim, have been a different blood of the earth than all the others? Yeah, he was different. He was the Aryan race. So that two blood of the earth must have been introduced into this paradise together. The one a fictitious man, and the other modeled after the great image of the Elohim, you see? And so that's the great mystery, ladies and gentlemen. That is the great mystery. And I'm going to just leave it right there. And let me move my note here. The story is so much more deeper, ladies and gentlemen, than we've ever been told, our history. And thanks, to the modern technology and the YouTubes and the television and the documentaries, we see all the evidence of prior civilizations, primitive civilizations. They want us looking at aliens and things that go bump in the night. You know, we were handed a book of scriptures from the great Elohim to set us right so we don't have to use vain opinions in our imaginations. You know, I'm telling you, you're welcome, Martha. We have to see it right, ladies and gentlemen. We have to know they stole the light from us. They stole the you know, look at the code. Heaven is the even. It's the darkness. Heaven is the darkness. You see? And heaven is used for sky, for the sun, for the cosmos, and sometimes for other. Okay? This is how the code works. And so you've been getting the decoding right here, haven't you? And I'm getting it at the same time. By serving, I'm receiving. And it's so beautiful to have the light open up, isn't it? You know, I'm telling you. So I know it's a tough world, ladies and gentlemen, and to escape this world of deception and darkness and the lies will be a miracle. So put on your thinking cap, get on your knees, create light with your prayers, with your hands, and serve others, and may you transcend. Okay, the darkness is wanting to pull us down. We have to look up. We can do it. Okay, it's your destiny. You're kidding, Martha. Come on. I was feeling inadequate today, unable to do it, but I hung in there. I said, no, I'm going to stick it out. I wanted to quit halfway through. So, thank you for hanging in there, Martha, Ninja, Mew Mew, okay? Because you all motivate me, okay? If you weren't there, I wouldn't be here. The question is, if I weren't here, would you be there? Well, sure you would, but we've got somewhere greater to go yet, don't we? Okay, Martha. And Lynn, thank you too. Yeah. Thank you for being there. Real trooper, Lynn. You always give me that audio check in the morning. That means a lot. So hope you all have a great day. Thank you. Love you too, Martha. Love all of you. You're all very special people, and we're all here for a reason. And tonight I'll be on 9 o'clock, okay? And I'm going to talk about that Aisha again, and I'm going to talk about the nature of hell, and maybe the hell is right here. Maybe we're in the hell. Thank you, Mew Mew. We're in the hell right now, right? The body is hell. The earth is hell. Life is hell. So we'll make sense out of it. We'll make lemonade out of lemons. I like mine sweet, and it's kind of refreshing, you know, when we make it right. So we can do that. We can take the darkness and turn it into the light, because they're hiding the light. Those tricksters. That's why they call themselves the craft. They're pretty crafty, but they're not that good. They're not better than Yeshua. They're just an imitation of another imitation. They're as bad as it gets. Those phony illuminated. They're rotting in their hell right now. Don't forget, if you're looking for the future, then look for the forbidden history, ladies and gentlemen, because it's all right here. I'm your host, Desert Owl. Thank you for tuning in. Look for us 9 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. Just about 9 hours. You know, it's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Be safe out there.